the 3rd of February, 2026, London, MOT. At precisely 8:30 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, Buckingham Palace issued a public statement, confirming that King Charles has formally stripped Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex of all remaining royal titles, military appointments, honorary affiliations, and public privileges, effective immediately. This unprecedented action follows the Federal Bureau of Investigation's confirmed seizure of digital evidence and financial records from the Sussexes' Montecito residence during a sealed search warrant executed on January 31, 343 pertaining to wire fraud, false statements, and potential misuse of charitable funds. A palace spokesperson read aloud the Windsor Reformation Directive, Article 7, personally signed by King Charles. In light of verified findings by Allied law enforcement agencies and substantiated breaches of public trust, I hereby revoke in full and without future reinstatement all royal titles, military affiliations, and honorary privileges previously extended to my son, Prince Henry Charles Albert David. This decision has been reviewed, endorsed, and countersigned by the Privy Council, the Lord Chamberlain, and the Keeper of the Royal Archives. The FBI investigation, which reportedly began in late October 2025 after an encrypted whistleblower file was submitted via Interpol's UK Liaison Office, centers on 3 major claims: the unauthorized transfer of over $4.8 million USD from the foundation to personal consulting entities linked to Meghan Markle's commercial team, the existence of a private encrypted server inside the Montecito property used to store donor communications, identity verification, documents, and foreign correspondence not disclosed to U.S. or UK charity regulators, the alleged forging of at least 4 key donor acknowledgements, including a falsified signature from a deceased British veteran used to promote a 2023 Invictus fundraising campaign, Princess and acting in her official capacity as the Constable of the Royal Household, delivered a rarely convened emergency press conference from St. James's Palace, declaring the royal family's institutional stance. This is not a quiet removal. This is a constitutional and reputational response. The monarchy will not tolerate the concealment of fraud, the distortion of military service for profit, or the unauthorized use of the crown's symbolic weight for personal enrichment. We choose national honor over familial silence. Sources confirm that and had personally requested the UK Charity Commission's Special Investigations Unit to review linked activities in collaboration with American regulators as early as November 2025, after internal alarms were raised over a delayed grant to a Commonwealth veterans organization. Shortly after Anna's remarks, Prince William, as Prince of Wales and institutional heir, made a brief "No one is above the values of duty, transparency, and service. My father's decision is absolute. It is my duty to affirm that we will defend these standards even when it costs us. Privately, it's made act too little. Building." William reportedly played a critical role in coordinating intelligence sharing between the palace's Legal Integrity Office and the Metropolitan Police's Special Financial Crimes Directorate, culminating in a cross-jurisdictional memorandum delivered to U.S. counterparts in December 2025. The existence of this memo has now been confirmed by Whitehall sources. Unlike prior royal controversies that were managed quietly or behind closed doors, this escalation was public, deliberate, and procedurally transparent. The official royal family website has already been updated to remove all references to Prince Harry's former titles, patronages, and military honors. The court circular, the official Journal of Royal Engagements, now lists Harry as Henry Mountbatten Windsor. No designation minus and is it notable. Revoked roles include Honorary Heir, Commandant of RAF Honington, Captain General of the Royal Marines, Patron of the Rugby Football League, all. Commonwealth Trust ambassadorial duties. Right to use HR in ceremonial or philanthropic settings. In a direct quote to the BBC's royal correspondent, a palace insider explained, "This isn't personal retribution. This is a firewall, a necessary containment of reputational risk. The Crown cannot and will not be associated with actions under federal investigation." The Privy Council Office also released a copy of the Severance Protocol, a 42-page internal document outlining how all security protections, palace access rights and travel privileges under the Windsor Accord of 2020 are to be immediately discontinued. Notably absent from all commentary was Meghan Markle, whose name appears frequently in the FBI warrants appendix. However, sources close to the palace have indicated that further disclosures relating to her financial management activities during her time with are pending review by U.S. prosecutors. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla has declined to comment directly, but is reported to be furious over rumors that her son Tom Parker BS had previously warned Harry about connected to an ex-employee. One leaked email from 2022, seen by Sunday Times editors, appears to show Tom using the phrase, "If this ever hits Interpol, we're all radioactive." Camilla's office is currently reviewing all correspondence between Clarence House and the Foundation for the period between 2020 and 2024. At exactly 10 o'clock a.m. on February 1, 2026, the Royal Communications Office released a classified summary of the FBI's findings obtained during the search of Prince Harry's California residence alongside a synchronized press release from Buckingham Palace. The dual statements, coordinated between British and U.S. legal counterparts, listed a set of specific documentable infractions that served as the basis for King Charles III February 7 decree stripping Prince Harry of all remaining royal titles, privileges, and hereditary claims. According to the FBI MI5 Joint Investigatory Report, 3 major categories of misconduct were identified: fraudulent misuse of royal trademarks, digital correspondence recovered from encrypted devices linked to servers showed Prince Harry had directly approved the use of the royal crest, insignias, and Duke of Sussex styling in a commercial contract with a Dubai-based firm, Alamir Holdings Limited, signed on November 4, 2025. This deal involved a multi-million-dollar content licensing arrangement, marketed under false pretenses of official Windsor endorsement, undeclared financial transfers, and asset protection schemes. The FBI uncovered 8 offshore wire transfers totaling $38 million between February and October 2025 routed through intermediaries in the Cayman Islands, Singapore, and Abu Dhabi. These funds were allegedly tied to high-profile real estate transactions in California and Qatar. None were reported under mandatory disclosure terms required by Prince Harry's dual tax obligations as a UK citizen residing in the US. Furthermore, investigators flagged the use of shell companies bearing royal-themed names, including Mountbatten, Legacy Ventures, and Crown Dominion Media, tampering with legal custody documents and cross-border travel irregularities. Files labeled Archie, Protocol Final, and LL Travel Override (DOCX) were recovered, indicating that Prince Harry had been working to bypass custodial monitoring orders under the Windsor Accord of 2024. These efforts included proposed backdated affidavit, falsely attributing UK citizenship status to Archie and Leet to obtain diplomatic protections. U.S. immigration officials confirmed discrepancies in Leet's passport application data. Princess and acting as senior legal attorneys for the royal family's Institutional Standards Committee held a press briefing shortly after the publication of the findings. Standing in the White Drawing Room of St. James's Palace, she declared, "The House of Windsor does not condone corruption under any title, be it Duke, Prince, or Peer." What has been uncovered is a betrayal of not only legal norms, but the dignity of our crown. The monarchy must serve as a firewall against abuse, not a facilitator of it. Prince William, in a separate appearance at the Queen Elizabeth II Conference Center, directly addressed the press with a rare scripted statement. What began as compassion has been repaid with deception. My brother has violated the laws of the countries he lives off and dishonored the institution he was born into. We stand by the public, not above them. The royal household has officially confirmed that it is cooperating with U.S. authorities, and British prosecutors have submitted a notice of intent to investigate under the Proceeds of Crime Act regarding Prince Harry's undeclared offshore holdings. In the United States, the Internal Revenue Service and Department of Justice have opened inquiries into possible tax evasion, illicit asset shielding, and false statement filings. The FBI has forwarded a sealed indictment to the United States Attorney's Office for Central California, according to internal memos obtained by the Times on February 7 at 6:45 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. King Charles signed Royal Order Number D-226, which terminates the recognition of the Duke of Sussex title, removes all remaining HR references in international registers, disqualifies Harry Mountbatten Windsor from the line of succession, voids all ceremonial, diplomatic, or military appointments, instructs all Crown estates to sever fiduciary links to any subsidiary. The final clause reads, henceforth he shall be recognized neither in title nor in duty as a representative of the Crown, or of its historic lineage. This decision marks the first full severance of a senior royal status in the modern constitutional era, with no sealed court proceedings or ambiguous exile, only full public revocation. As of February 8, several streaming platforms and publishers have paused negotiations related to Sussex content, citing reputational risk. Meanwhile, multiple former executives have been subpoenaed as cooperating witnesses. At exactly 1,100 hours on February 2, 2026, a confidential briefing between senior UK national security officials and the royal household triggered an irreversible shift in protocol regarding Prince Harry. The meeting, conducted at the Cabinet Office Briefing Rooms, COBR, included the Home Secretary, Director of GCHQ, the Chief of MI5, and representatives from the Royal Household Security Division. What followed was the formal classification of the material uncovered in California as security relevant and institutionally destabilizing. Mina says Wimtuda the secondary. According to the official royal communique released hours later, the briefing centered on an FBI evidence bundle comprising digital communications, metadata, encrypted transfers, and 3 sealed testimonies obtained under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FHA. The documents revealed that Prince Harry had knowingly received material assistance, financial and logistical, from a foreign lobbying group with undisclosed ties to sovereign adversaries of the UK. Further evidence included a series of communications from Harry's encrypted personal server in Montecito. These entities registered in by sales and the UAE were traced back to controlled fronts designed to influence UK media narratives and gain backdoor access to confidential briefings involving Veterans Affairs, royal ceremonial planning, and UK-US diplomatic initiatives. Following the COBR meeting, Princess and Prince William jointly authorized the public release of 2 previously confidential internal memos dated October 19 and November 29, 2025. The first memo, authored by the Royal Institutional Affairs Office, warned of Harry's continued use of unauthorized data access protocols during visits to UK facilities under the pretense of foundation business. The second memo, written by the Keeper of the Royal Archives, outlined a security anomaly linked to the disappearance of 2 briefing drafts related to King Charles's New Year transition plan. Documents later found embedded within a hidden partition on a drive recovered by U.S. agents from Harry's California residence. A third and final element was delivered publicly at 1000 hours on February 3 via a briefing by Lord Chamberlain Rupert Swafford. His statement confirmed that Harry's charitable entity had contracted a Dubai-based digital firm Arc and Metaworks under a non-disclosure agreement for cloud storage optimization. However, forensic analysis conducted by British and American cyber experts revealed that this firm had exported, replicated, and cross-indexed privileged communications involving royal scheduling, military patronage negotiations, and classified institutional planning regarding the Duke of Kent's replacement. These were not simple data leaks. According to the joint statement from GCHQ and the UK National Cybersecurity Centre, the breach amounted to an unwitting institutional compromise of sovereign planning infrastructure. At noon on the same day, Prince William, acting under full advisory capacity, filed a formal declaration of legal disassociation from his brother. The filing, submitted to the Royal Household Legal Affairs Registry, included a 2-page summary of institutional distance, revoking all previous informal accords regarding shared royal representation, armed protection, crossover rights, and access to the Royal Military Family Fund. Public version of this declaration was distributed by Buckingham Palace later that afternoon, stating, effective immediately, the Prince of Wales shall no longer maintain any joint, charitable, ceremonial, or logistical association with Prince Henry Charles, Albert David. All previous standing privileges, courtesies, and cooperative engagements are hereby nullified too. Other 7 adds as a report. In parallel, Princess and Royal Custodian of Integrity executed Clause 17 of the Royal Institutional Discipline Charter, last invoked in 1972. Catherine, whose calm exterior concealed a storm of betrayal and resolve, wore a simple navy ensemble, somber, deliberate, symbolic. At the center of the long table sat King Charles, his signate ring already removed, an unspoken signal of constitutional detachment, and opened the meeting by distributing redacted reports labeled FBI evidence, Montecito vault, allegedly tied to sealed audio transcripts, metadata logs, and chain of custody photos collected during a January 11 federal inspection of the Sussex residence. While public facing media reported only vague suspicions, the documents privately submitted to the Crown were staggering. Contained within were references to an unlicensed offshore media fund, registered in Meghan Markle's name, but listing multiple royal properties like Frogmore Cottage and Clarence House as legacy assets, digital contracts, outlining non-disclosed brand exploitation deals using children's photos potentially violating the Windsor Accord on royal child protections. 3. Encrypted hard drives stored in a panic room vault with emails allegedly detailing monetization plans involving internal palace records dating back to 2019. Ties to Tom Parker BS 2022. Charity auction scandal wherein stolen Queen Elizabeth II memorabilia were funneled through third-party collectors, linked to Meghan's former PR firm in New York. Though not criminal in the American sense, the evidence pointed to deep reputational sabotage and possible fraud under UK royal commercial laws. Prince William, fists clenched, broke the silence first. We warned him. We warned them both. But Harry didn't just sell the family. He sold the institution. And he used our children to do it. Princess and reportedly responded bluntly, he is no longer to be treated as Windsor-born. The shield no longer protects him. Charles, visibly aged by the hour, finally spoke. We protected them with silence, and they returned it with a playbook of betrayal. I would not mark it. Sophie, having received forensic audit files from the Duchess of Lancaster just days earlier, pointed out that Meghan had attempted to redirect up to £1.4 million in royal event funds from early 2020 into linked consultancy contracts, a claim never before disclosed. In the corner of the room, Catherine sat still, only lifting her head to say, "I won't allow our children to grow up under the shadow of a manipulated history. Thanks for watching. He see the waste of my own way, and we're going to see pot sis." At that, King Charles stood and issued what would later be confirmed as Verbal Order 73B. As of February 1st, the subject, formerly known as His Royal Highness, the Duke of Sussex, is stripped of all royal titles, privileges, and line of succession entitlements. Any domestic or international representations made using royal insignia by the subject or his spouse shall be regarded as fraudulent, and will trigger a palace-initiated legal injunction. That stayed the palace's legal affairs unit moved swiftly. By the morning of February 2nd, all military patronages associated with Harry were revoked retroactively to January 15th. The HR titles for Archie and Lilith were declared void in formal court filings, citing misuse of monarchical identity. The UK Intellectual Property Office was instructed to block all pending product extensions that referenced British royal figures. Perhaps the most quietly devastating blow came from Catherine. In a private letter addressed to the Archbishop of Canterbury, who had baptized both Prince George and Archie, she requested a spiritual review of any ceremonies involving Sussex offspring, raising questions over legitimacy of past rights based on misrepresentation of parental status. On February 3rd, Queen Camilla, previously silent, asked to be excluded from upcoming state events, citing personal reflection. But palace aides confirmed her son, Tom Parker B.S., was quietly removed from all royal charity boards the same afternoon. This wasn't just an eraser. It was a controlled demolition. And the public, the Royal Communications Office, announced that a special nationwide address by Princess and Prince William would air on BBC One on February 8th to clarify what comes next. But one thing was now irreversible. Prince Harry was out, not just in title but in truth, and the monarchy, forged in centuries of fire and scandal, had made its choice. Buckingham Palace, February 7th, 2026. As the dust begins to settle over the explosive revelations that led to Prince Harry's complete expulsion from the royal family, the institution has moved swiftly to implement permanent safeguards, particularly around the children, the succession, and the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. Today, Lord Pembroke of the Privy Council confirmed that Harry's digital eraser from royal registers, court rolls, and ceremonial listings had been completed at midnight. On February 6th, the move, while largely symbolic, carries heavy historical weight. Harry is no longer acknowledged as a royal figure by the Crown in any public or private domain. Princess Anne was photographed leaving St. James' Palace early this morning following a 4-hour closed session of the Royal Strategic Continuity Committee, which she chaired. Her presence at the emergency session underscores the gravity of the moment. According to leaked agenda notes, the meeting reviewed and finalized legal language concerning the total severance of all sovereign liabilities connected to the Duke of Sussex, particularly in foreign jurisdictions. The committee's council determined that no future state obligations, be they fiscal, ceremonial, or custodial, shall be extended to Harry, Meghan, or their dependents. Simultaneously, Princess Catherine delivered a rare public speech at Windsor Chapel, marking the close of the Candlemas season, though she made no direct mention of recent events. Her final words resonated with unmistakable precision. It is not the crown that defines character, but the conscience that honors it. 10. Meat and fresh. The crowd responded with a standing ovation, and several members of the press noted that Catherine wore Queen Elizabeth II's sapphire and diamond brooch, a symbol historically associated with moral clarity and continuity. According to palace sources, the brooch had been passed to her in a private ceremony by King Charles in December, an unpublicized event now viewed in hindsight as a symbolic transfer of spiritual guardianship. Camilla's absence from both the Windsor Chapel gathering and this week's advisory sessions has sparked renewed speculation about her diminished role. Multiple insiders report that she is deeply unsettled by the growing influence of Catherine and, especially in matters involving Harry and Meghan. Furthermore, her son, Tom Parker B.S., is reportedly under investigation for his connections to a January 22 private fundraising dinner in Santa Barbara, where references to royal backing were used despite his mother's recent withdrawal from public life. A palace spokesperson declined to comment, but sources suggest Prince Edward has been assigned to discreetly verify whether any titles or symbols were improperly invoked. Meanwhile, Prince William is preparing for his official foreign delegation reception at Forest Lodge next week, a newly conferred responsibility symbolizing his expanded leadership as acting sovereign. According to press briefings, the reception will host ambassadors from 7 nations and mark the first time Prince George will appear in a semi-official role, greeting dignitaries under his father's supervision. Finally, public sentiment continues to swing heavily in favor of the royal family's hardline stance. In a nationwide poll conducted on February 5 by Ipsos UK, 79% of respondents said they supported King Charles's decision to revoke all of Harry's titles, and 85% believe that Meghan should no longer be referred to with any royal styling. Perhaps more telling, over 91% said the monarchy was right to protect its legacy from further exploitation. As of today, the gates of the House of Windsor are firmly closed to the Duke of Sussex, and the world has been given one final message. The institution may forgive, but it will never again be fooled.